let's begin with Aaron Nola and kind of revisiting this situation. And it came out that the Dodgers obviously are in the market for pitching, and he's somebody who we discussed as a potential option for them. And they end up making him Nola $162 million contract offer. Now, the turn in terms of how many years, it's unclear. My guess is it probably was in the neighborhood of at least 5. If you missed it, Nola did re-sign with the Phillies on a 7-year, $172 million deal. He's still sort of the only kind of top tier free agent starting pitcher to sign, if you will. Reports today came out that Kenta Maeda and the Tigers agreed to a 2-year deal, but in terms of the top end starters, Nola is still sort of the first one to come off the market. So, well, the Dodgers made, I think you could call it a pretty competitive offer for Nola. It's $162 million, like I just referenced. It was reported that he didn't have any interest in the city of Los Angeles kind of as a whole. So not necessarily the Dodgers specifically, but coming to LA. Blake, we saw something similar play out with Eduardo Rodriguez at the trade deadline. Does Nola's stance surprise you at all?
Not entirely. He went to school at LSU, I believe. He's played for the Phillies his entire career. He's just an East Coast guy, and moving your family across the country is a big deal. And I get it, him wanting to stay where he's been and where he's been comfortable for his whole career. I mean, his name breaks up into no LA, so you can't really blame him there. We could have seen this coming from his name. It reminds me of Giancarlo Stanton on Twitter saying, "If only my name backwards wasn't not Nats." So just kind of that kind of thing. Like, no reason to be mad at him. He did what's best for him and his family. He still got paid. He got what he wants. So that's what free agency is all about. Good for him there. I mean, Dodgers will just move on. And to kind of cite back, Anthony Rendon wasn't about playing in Los Angeles either. That worked out pretty good for the Dodgers. So maybe it'll be another situation there.
Yeah, and you mentioned Anthony Rendon, and I am seeing comments referencing him. The Rendon thing I think was a little bit different from the standpoint of, his famous quote was, he don't want the Hollywood lifestyle with the Dodgers, and I think that was just such a joke because still, that's not what the Dodgers are about. They are, a blue collar team, if you will, that focuses on the little things with baseball in the day in and day out. And as you referenced, not signing Rendon certainly worked out for the Dodgers there, and so maybe we'll see something similar with Nola. Now, the other side of this coin sort of is, what do you make of the contract offer? Because, like I said, it was for a reported $162 million. We don't necessarily know the years, but if you look at AAV, my guess it was for at least 5 years, and Nola is already 30 years old. So, as much as the Dodgers do need starting pitching, would that move have surprised you at all?
It would have surprised me because I don't think he's necessarily the type of pitcher they'd target, especially at that salary and the years that it's going to include. So that was shocking to me, but it's not surprising that they're going out and being aggressive on starting pitchers. It's what they've talked about all off season, so it's good to see them actually kind of following up on that and not saying like we made an offer of 3 years, 90 million and he didn't want it, which is what they've done a lot for free agents in the past. So I like that they're being aggressive. I'm not sure Nola was the guy I would have targeted. I think most people know my thoughts on going out and getting Yamamoto is their top priority after Otani. So it's good to see them being aggressive.
Yeah, I agree with you. And, kind of tying into that aggression and kind of maybe casting a wide net for starting pitchers. Sonny Gray is another free agent who is out there. The Dodgers have been linked to him in the past, more so on the trade front at multiple times, kind of over the last handful of years, it seems like. But and a little bit related to Nola's preference, Sonny Gray is said to want to stay on the East Coast. So not so much that he has anything maybe against LA specifically, but the East Coast, it's looking like that's kind of where he wants to remain or at least sign with. Blake, is it a big deal or not that Sonny Gray may not necessarily be an option for the Dodgers?
I think it's a big deal, and in the sense that it takes away another option from them that they could pursue, especially since say they do sign Otani this offseason and then want to go maybe a little cheaper in the starting pitching market. He would have been a guy you could probably get on a 3 to 4 year deal max because of his age, and it probably wouldn't break the bank AAV wise. So he would have been a good option. He's someone we've talked about wanting in the past on this show. So it's disappointing from that sense, but it's also not going to change their season necessarily. There's still a lot of good options they can sign or acquire via trade. So disappointing because he was a good fit, but it makes sense he wants to stay near his home and play on the East Coast.
Yeah, and